divine transfer. Your financial breakthrough was released today, but Satan is trying to intercept it. Michael says, "Open now." My beloved light bearer, a divine decree has been released over your life today. A decree of heavenly transfer, a supernatural release of provision and wealth that carries your name on it. Archangel Michael stands before the throne, holding a scroll sealed with golden fire. On it is written, "Breakthrough release this day." But as this divine flow was released, a shadow moved, a dark intersection in the spiritual realm. Satan's forces are attempting to divert what belongs to you. Listen carefully, for this message comes with urgency. Archangel Michael says, "Tell them their breakthrough has already been dispatched, but the battle is in the skies." This isn't a delay from heaven. It's a warfare in the atmosphere. You might have felt confusion, unexpected bills, sudden resistance, or even silence. But these are not coincidences. These are signs that your financial angels are wrestling in your favor. Child of light, Archangel Michael is unsheathing his sword even now. The blade that once split the heavens in war is now splitting the darkness that tried to cover your provision. Michael declares, "The enemy cannot steal what heaven has sealed." Your name hath been spoken in the courts of heaven today, and every divine promise tied to your obedience is being reactivated. Do you feel that stirring in your spirit? That's not anxiety. That's a signal. Heaven is drawing your awareness to the release. When divine transfer happens, you must align your words, your heart, and your faith, for it is your agreement that opens the gate. Archangel Michael whispers, "Tell them, open their spiritual vaults. Speak life, not lack. Declare abundance, not fear." The moment you come into agreement, the intersection loses power. Heaven responds not just to need, but to recognition of divine timing. And beloved, the timing is today. Before this day ends, you will notice a new you will favor, a call, an idea, a shift. That will be your confirmation that the transfer has been rerouted back into your hands. But heed this warning, do not speak defeat in this hour. Every word of doubt feeds the interception. Speak faith, and the angels will strengthen their line. Hold on, because what Michael is about to reveal next will open your eyes to why some blessings delay and others break through instantly. Trust me, you don't want to miss this next revelation. It carries the key to unlocking the flow permanently. Type "I claim my divine transfer" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 1111 has just been activated. Precious one, the moment heaven released your financial breakthrough, the realm of darkness trembled. Archangel Michael revealed that the enemy moves swiftly, not to destroy the blessing, but to delay it long enough for you to lose faith. That's how interception works. The forces of darkness cannot cancel what God has decreed, but they can distract, discourage, and delay it until you withdraw your faith agreement. You must understand, this is not just about money, it's about authority. Your breakthrough represents your next level of dominion, and Satan fears what happens when you begin walking in abundance without fear. Michael showed me a vision, streams of golden light flowing down like rivers of oil. Each stream represented divine transfers, wealth, opportunities, ideas, open doors, moving toward God's chosen ones. But between heaven and earth, dark nets were being thrown across those streams. Those nets were woven from fear, self-doubt, and spiritual exhaustion. Each time you speak lack, you strengthen those nets. Each time you speak faith, they tear apart. Archangel Michael's command in this season is simple. Stay in divine alignment. Speak abundance as though it has already arrived. This is why you've been feeling the tension lately. That strange fatigue, that sense of delay, that frustration that came from nowhere. It's spiritual interference. The enemy has sensed your nearness to victory. But the archangel says, the moment they praise while waiting, the enemy's grip loosens. This means your worship right now is not just devotion. It is warfare. When you lift your hands in faith, you release a sound that cuts through spiritual interference like lightning through fog. You might be wondering, why now? Why this particular moment for your financial transfer? Because heaven moves at divine timing. There are windows in which heaven pours out accelerated blessings, and this day marks one of those windows. Archangel Michael has declared this window open, and those who align with it will see visible manifestations before this cycle ends. You may notice unexpected refunds, forgotten opportunities being revived, divine ideas coming alive, or supernatural favor where you once faced rejection. These are signs of the transfer taking effect. But Archangel Michael warns, guard your environment. There are conversations, people, and atmospheres that weaken the flow of faith. Do not share your visions with everyone. Some people unknowingly carry the vibration of doubt, and when you speak your blessing before it manifests, you invite interference. Protect what heaven has released. Remember, the enemy cannot see the full blueprint. He only senses the movement of light. That's why secrecy and discernment matter in this hour. Beloved, before the day is done, you are going to feel a shift. It may come as peace, as stillness, or even as a sudden knowing that the war is turning. That will be the signal that Michael's sword has cut through the last layer of resistance. From that moment on, expect movement, not later, but now. The divine economy has no delay when faith is fully active. Wait for what's coming next, because Michael is about to reveal the secret of how to hold your transfer once it arrives, so it never leaks away again. This next revelation will change the way you handle spiritual wealth forever. Type "I stand in divine alignment" in the comments if your spirit feels this confirmation. Blessing code 2244 has just been released. Beloved carrier of light, as the angelic war rages above you, Archangel Michael steps forward holding a blazing key. He says, tell them, the breakthrough is not the end. It is a beginning. You see, the reason many people lose their blessings after receiving them is because they do not know how to hold the transfer. Heaven does not just release provision, it tests stewardship. And right now, heaven is watching to see if you will protect what is coming. There is a sacred law that governs divine wealth. Michael calls it the law of retention. When something leaves heaven, it seeks a vessel pure enough to sustain it. If the vessel leaks, through fear, greed, or carelessness, the blessing begins to evaporate. The enemy waits for that moment, watching for cracks in your heart where worry or pride might enter. But Archangel Michael says, seal the cracks. Guard your atmosphere. You guard it by gratitude. Every time you thank God for what has not yet fully appeared, you build a spiritual shield that no interception can pierce. Gratitude becomes armor, and humility becomes preservation. There are people listening right now who are about to enter contracts, opportunities, and partnerships. Michael warns that not all open doors are divine doors. Some are distractions in disguise. Before you sign, commit, or invest, ask this: does this agreement carry peace? The peace of heaven is the confirmation of truth. The absence of peace is the whisper of interception. Your discernment in the coming days will determine how fully you keep the flow that is being restored. You might be feeling a strange shift around your finances even now. Unexpected delays followed by sudden acceleration. That is the sound of heaven correcting the flow. Michael says, what was stolen in secret will be returned in the open. There will be visible evidence that the divine transfer has begun. But the archangel reminds you, handle this increase with holy precision. So where you are led, give, where you feel the wind of heaven moving, and do not hoard what was meant to circulate. The divine economy is sustained by generosity. And now, listen carefully, because what you are hearing is not coincidence. This message found you because you were chosen to break a cycle of lack that has followed your family line for generations. Archangel Michael declares that you are the breaker of patterns, the one who stands between the old system of survival and the new realm of overflow. That's why the attack has been so fierce. The enemy fears your awakening. But your endurance has authorized heaven to act on your behalf. Before this day ends, take a moment to lift your hands and declare aloud, I receive what heaven released. I guard what God has given. I align with divine timing. Those words are keys that lock your blessing into permanence. When faith and declaration merge, no interception can survive. If you are feeling the weight of this message, this is your moment to act. Like, comment, and share this message so others can awaken to what is being released right now. Subscribe and stay connected to this prophetic movement, because the revelation that follows will show you how angels channel resources through human vessels, and that mystery will change everything you thought you knew about provision. Type I am chosen to guard my blessing in the comments if this resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 3311 has been released. Now, hear this divine invitation. The archangel's voice still echoes through this moment. What you support expands in heaven's record. Every act of giving, every seed you plant, fuels the light that drives messages like this across the world. When you stand with this mission, you are not helping a platform. You are helping the word of God reach the weary. You are sowing into rivers of awakening. I am personally inviting you, if this message has stirred your spirit, become part of this divine movement. Your super thanks, membership, or offering through the PayPal link in the description is not a donation. It is a prophetic response. The oil of increase flows through those who honor the flow. As you release, may the heavens open over you, may your barns overflow, and may your name be recorded among those who funded the harvest. So now, and watch the angels move on your behalf. Beloved vessel of divine destiny, the heavens are shifting again. Archangel Michael has drawn near with another revelation, one that few understand, but many need in this hour. He says, what is released must be managed, or it will return to the heavens unused. That means every divine transfer, whether it comes as an idea, an opportunity, or a financial miracle, must be received with spiritual intelligence. The enemy's next strategy is not to block what is coming, but to confuse you after it arrives. Confusion is the silent thief of harvest. Michael revealed that many of God's children lose blessings because they treat divine provision like earthly possession. They forget that heaven's currency is purpose, not pride. When you receive a breakthrough, you must ask, Lord, what is this for? Sometimes the money that enters your hands is not meant to stay. It is meant to move, to build, to plant, or to heal. When you discern the assignment behind your provision, you align your wealth with eternity. And when your money carries purpose, no demonic interception can touch it. In the heavenly vision, Michael stood beside a golden river that represented divine supply. I saw countless streams branching off toward the faithful. But in some streams, the light dimmed when people used the blessing for self-exaltation. Michael whispered, they forgot it was holy. Beloved, your financial transfer is not just an answer to prayer. It is a sacred trust. Handle it as a priest handles the offering, carefully, reverently, with awareness that heaven watches. The moment you recognize your breakthrough as ministry, it multiplies itself. There are 3 signs that your divine transfer is fully activated. First, your spirit will sense rest where there used to be striving. Second, unexpected help will begin to appear, people, opportunities, or doors that simply make things align. Third, you will feel a strong pull toward generosity. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that heaven's economy is functioning through you. Do not suppress the urge to bless others, because that instinct comes directly from the spirit of provision moving within you. Archangel Michael also says that in this next season, you must guard against leaky alignments. These are partnerships, friendships, or conversations that constantly drain your faith. If you notice that after speaking with someone you feel smaller, weaker, or more anxious, that is not just emotion. It is evidence of spiritual extraction. The enemy uses emotional fatigue to make you misuse what heaven gives. You must set boundaries not from arrogance, but from wisdom. Michael declares, "Preserve your oil, for the journey ahead requires light." Beloved, as you listen to this message, a realignment is already happening around you. Old connections are fading not because you are losing people, but because heaven is positioning you for divine replacements. Some relationships were seasonal. They were never meant to go with you into abundance. The shaking you feel is not rejection, it is redirection. The more you release what no longer aligns, the faster your breakthrough solidifies. And yet, Michael warns there is still a deeper mystery to unfold, the secret of divine circulation, how heaven multiplies what you release. This next revelation is the difference between temporary provision and perpetual overflow. You are on the edge of that unveiling now. Wait for it, because what comes next will teach you how to live in a realm where you never run dry. Type "I preserve my oil" in the comments if you feel heaven confirming this word. Blessing code 4477 has just been activated. Chosen guardian of divine provision. The moment has come to uncover one of heaven's greatest mysteries, the law of divine circulation. Archangel Michael stands beside the river of abundance, his armor glimmering like molten gold. He speaks softly yet with the authority that shakes the unseen. What you release from obedience returns through multiplication. This law has governed the movements of blessing since the foundation of the world. Every divine transfer that enters your hands is designed to move, to flow, and to grow. When you hold it tightly out of fear, it stagnates. When you release it with faith, it expands into increase that defies logic. Michael reveals that divine circulation is not just about money. It is about energy, favor, time, and wisdom. The more you give in alignment with heaven's prompting, the more space you create for new provision to fill. Think of the divine economy as breathing. It represents receiving, it represents giving. When you stop giving, you stop the breath of heaven from flowing through you. That is why many people experience sudden dryness after a season of overflow. They inhaled divine resources but forgot to exhale them into purpose. The angel of provision moves only where flow exists. The archangel showed me a vision of people holding golden bowls. Some bowls were overflowing, others dry and cracked. Those with overflowing bowls had learned the rhythm of generosity. They gave without fear and received without guilt. Those with empty bowls had sealed them shut, terrified of losing what they had. Michael's voice thundered through the vision. Heaven does not bless closed hands. That statement burned through the atmosphere like lightning. The lesson is clear. When your heart remains open, the river continues to run. This explains why the enemy works so hard to plant fear in the area of giving. Fear is the dam that stops circulation. It convinces you that lack is protection when in truth, It is paralysis. Michael urges you to break that cycle today. He says what you release in faith becomes eternal seed. This means your smallest act of generosity, your time, your prayer, your resources, transforms into harvest in realms you cannot yet see. It is not about the amount. It is about alignment. When the seed matches divine timing, heaven multiplies it instantly. Beloved, there will soon be an undeniable sign of this law working in your life. You may give something small, a helping hand, a forgotten gift, an unexpected offering, and within days, you will see something much larger return. That is not coincidence. It is confirmation. The circulation law has been activated around you. And when this happens, remember to speak gratitude aloud. The spoken word seals spiritual movement. Every time you say, "Thank you, Father, for what is flowing," you strengthen the current that sustains your blessings. Michael warns that those who resist this flow risk spiritual congestion. When blessings stop moving, they become burdens. Some lose peace not because they lack, but because they refuse to release. Divine wealth is meant to move like rivers through human vessels, not rest like ponds that grow stagnant. You are chosen to be a channel, not a container. Heaven trusts you with circulation because your heart carries the sound of stewardship. Hold your spirit still for a moment and sense the confirmation rising within you. There is a warmth, a subtle pulse, a quiet peace moving through your chest as you hear these words. That is not emotion, that is alignment. Heaven is synchronizing you with divine rhythm again. Before this message ends, a fresh current of ideas and opportunities will begin flowing toward you. Some of these will come through unexpected people, others through new directions. Recognize them as divine currents responding to your obedience. Stay with me, for the next revelation will expose how to recognize counterfeit blessings that mimic divine flow, the traps designed to drain your harvest. What comes next will train your discernment to protect every transfer heaven entrusts to you. Type "I flow" and divine circulation in the comments if you feel heaven awakening your faith. Blessing code 5522 is now released. Beloved guardian of the heavenly stream, listen closely, for what I am about to share is among the most crucial revelations Archangel Michael has ever spoken. He says, counterfeit blessings are the enemy's imitation of divine provision, crafted to drain rather than sustain. These imitations often come disguised as opportunity, comfort, or favor, but their purpose is to reroute your divine circulation and cut the flow of true abundance. Satan knows he cannot block the blessing once it is released, so he sends false blessings to lure you into unholy agreements that drain your strength and faith. Michael showed me a vision of two rivers flowing side by side. One gleamed with gold, pure and alive with divine light. The other shimmered deceptively, beautiful, but tainted with shadows beneath the surface. Many souls, he said, drink from the wrong river because they follow the surface shine rather than the still voice within. The counterfeit always looks easier, quicker, or more appealing, but it never carries peace. The first sign of a counterfeit blessing is restlessness. The second is confusion. Heaven's flow brings serenity even in motion, but the enemy's imitation carries anxiety disguised as excitement. Beloved, the Archangel warns that in this season, discernment is wealth. The world will offer you contracts, partnerships, even relationships that appear to align with your goals, but not all that glitters is gold from heaven's treasury. The devil's most effective weapon is premature promotion. If you step into a position or deal that heaven has not endorsed, it will begin to siphon your divine energy. That is why Michael says, wait for confirmation, not opportunity. Confirmation comes through stillness, alignment, and the witness of peace. Opportunity can come from anywhere, but confirmation comes only from heaven. In the unseen realm, counterfeit blessings appear as bright distractions. They mimic divine timing to create urgency. They whisper, "Take it now or lose it forever." But heaven's pavilion never manipulates, it invites. Divine timing will always allow peace, prayer, and reflection. The moment you feel pressured or fearful of missing out, step back. That sense of spiritual tightness is the alarm of the Spirit. Michael instructs you to declare in such moments, "I wait on divine instruction." This simple phrase seals your alignment and sends confusion back to the enemy's camp. Child of God, this battle between the real and the false is intensifying because you are approaching the manifestation of your divine wealth. That is why distractions are multiplying around you. Unnecessary commitments, draining conversations, emotional entanglements that once felt harmless. These are not random inconveniences. They are strategic diversions. Michael says, every time you say no to distraction, you say yes to divine direction. You are not missing out. You are mastering discernment. And discernment is what keeps the door of blessing permanently open. There will come a moment soon when something or someone presents itself as the answer to your prayer. When that moment arrives, pause. Ask, does this bring peace to my spirit or pressure to my soul? Heaven will answer quietly but clearly. You will know. The true blessing aligns your pace with grace. The false one accelerates you into exhaustion. Remember, divine flow is never frantic. It is steady, rhythmic, and calm. The peace of God is the signature of authenticity. And now, beloved, as you continue this journey, Archangel Michael prepares to reveal the next mystery, the sound of divine authority, how your voice activates the flow of breakthrough around you. This next unveiling will teach you why speaking faith aloud changes the direction of spiritual currents and multiplies what heaven entrusts to you. What you are about to hear will awaken dormant authority within you. Type "I discern the real from the false" in the comments if this resonates deeply with your spirit. Blessing code 6611 has now been released. Beloved keeper of heaven's mysteries, we have reached a sacred threshold in this revelation. Archangel Michael now reveals the power that transforms divine potential into manifested reality, the sound of divine authority. He says, what you refuse to speak, heaven cannot confirm. This is the secret few understand. Heaven releases, angels deliver, but only your voice activates. The spiritual realm does not respond to silence. It responds to declaration. The moment your words align with divine decree, everything in creation bends toward fulfillment. Michael stood beside a mountain in radiant light, his sword resting upon the stone. From his mouth came a single word, release. The air vibrated, the ground shook, and rivers began to flow from hidden cracks. Then he turned and said, "This is what happens when divine authority speaks through alignment." You see, your spirit carries that same resonance. When you speak faith, the frequency of your words echoes through the unseen. Angels are dispatched not by thought, but by sound. Every declaration of faith becomes an assignment for heaven's messengers. That is why the enemy fights to keep you silent through weariness, fear, or shame. Silence is his shield. Your voice is his undoing. Michael urges you now to awaken that sound again. He says, call forth what belongs to you. Do not whisper timidly. Speak boldly, as one who knows heaven's court has already ruled in your favor. Say aloud, my provision flows without interruption. My divine transfer arrives complete. My home, my work, my finances, everything aligns with God's perfect order. The moment you do this, heaven's sound waves expand around you, forming a spiritual perimeter where interception cannot operate. The atmosphere begins to carry your decree like a signal, and every resisting force loses its footing. Child of light, you have underestimated the authority of your sound. Even when you simply say, "I believe," it ripples through the realms. Faith creates vibration, vibration creates manifestation. The voice of doubt creates distortion, but the voice of faith restores harmony. Heaven listens for the sound of alignment before releasing the next level of increase. So in this moment, do not hold back. Stand in your room, your car, your quiet corner, and release words that match your destiny. Declare healing over your finances, order over your home, and peace over your atmosphere. Angels respond instantly to the sound of conviction. Michael also revealed that divine authority carries weight only when purity supports it. He said, "A voice loses power when the heart holds bitterness." That is why forgiveness is vital in this hour. Bitterness lowers spiritual frequency and creates static that interrupts divine flow. If you feel anger toward anyone, release it now. Say, "I forgive them and free myself." The instant you do, your voice regains clarity, and the angels return to their post. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is restoration of spiritual signal strength. Beloved, understand this truth deeply. Every miracle Jesus performed began with a spoken word. The blind saw because he said, "See." The dead rose because he said, "Come forth." You carry the same divine breath within you. When you speak, your words form structure in the unseen and summon what is meant to exist. That is why Archangel Michael is commanding you to speak again. Speak life, speak light, speak provision, speak order. Heaven has already said yes, your voice is the echo that seals it. Now, something sacred is about to unfold. Michael will soon unveil the mystery of divine partnership, how heaven assigns human allies to carry pieces of your breakthrough. Many have prayed for miracles, not realizing that the answer often arrives through people divinely positioned by the angels themselves. This next revelation will teach you how to recognize those sent to elevate you, and how to discern those sent to drain you. Stay with this message, for the unfolding will change the trajectory of your life. Type "My voice activates heaven" in the comments if your spirit feels the resonance of this word. Blessing code 7744 is now live in your atmosphere. Beloved vessel of divine alignment, the time has come to understand one of the most overlooked, yet powerful mysteries: divine partnership. Archangel Michael stands before you and says, "Every breakthrough requires alignment between heaven and earth, and heaven always chooses human hands to help carry the blessing into manifestation." The divine transfer you are waiting for is not meant to appear out of nowhere. It often travels through people, through relationships strategically orchestrated by God. Yet, the same way heaven sends helpers, the enemy also sends imitators, those who appear supportive but carry an unseen assignment to drain the flow. Michael revealed that angels are constantly arranging meetings, conversations, and connections that seem random but are profoundly divine. Every encounter in this season carries spiritual significance. The key is discernment. He says, "Ask not just who entered your life, but who sent them." Some are divine connectors, people whose obedience will unlock what you have been praying for. Others are spiritual consumers, those who appear kind but feed off your light. The Archangel's warning is clear. This is not a season to entertain emotional confusion. This is a time to move by peace, not pity. Beloved, you have prayed for elevation, but elevation always requires pruning. The higher you rise, the smaller your circle must become. Heaven is simplifying your environment because clarity cannot coexist with chaos. The people who are meant to walk with you into abundance will carry the fragrance of peace, not pressure. They will speak life into your vision, not drain it with doubt. Archangel Michael says, recognize those who multiply your faith and release those who multiply your fear. This distinction will determine whether your divine transfer flows freely or becomes delayed again. Michael showed me a vision of 3 groups standing before a gate of light. The first group carried oil and shared it freely. These were divine partners, those heaven sends to help build, uplift, and strengthen. The second group carried empty jars, always taking but never pouring back. These were emotional distractions, sent to weaken the vessel's resolve. The third group looked radiant but carried counterfeit light, their purpose to mimic sincerity while planting seeds of doubt. The archangel said, the chosen must discern, for not every smiling face bears heaven's mark. This revelation demands maturity. Sometimes divine partners are not what you expect. They may appear ordinary, an unexpected advisor, a humble friend, or even a stranger whose words spark clarity. Heaven uses the unlikely to deliver the miraculous. But once you recognize a divine partner, honor them. Honor opens the flow wider. Gratitude increases the current of grace between both vessels. When you dishonor the messenger, the message loses power in your life. Honor protects the flow of divine resources. Beloved, understand this deeply. Divine partnerships are not merely friendships. They are assignments of destiny. When the right connections form under heaven's orchestration, acceleration follows. Doors open faster, wisdom flows clearer, and provision finds its way without struggle. But when the wrong people remain, delay multiplies. Archangel Michael says, this month is the month of repositioning. Some connections will fade suddenly, but do not grieve what heaven is removing. The pruning is mercy, not loss. And now, as this message anchors itself in your spirit, Michael commands you to realign your circle through prayer tonight. Call out aloud, Father, reveal who is for me and who is draining me. The moment you speak that, expect revelation, through dreams, through inner impressions, or through sudden clarity in conversation. Heaven will show you who carries divine light and who masks manipulation. Your obedience to act upon that revelation will secure the stability of your financial breakthrough and spiritual peace. Beloved, if this message is confirming what you have felt in your spirit, then you are part of heaven's unfolding design. Like, comment, and share this revelation to awaken others who are entangled with false alliances. Subscribe if you feel drawn to walk in this prophetic flow and to receive future divine alerts from Archangel Michael's messages. Your voice of engagement amplifies heaven's message across the world. Type I align with divine partnership in the comments if you feel this word burning within you. Blessing code 8822 has just been released. And now hear the sacred invitation. Every word you just heard is part of a holy movement, a spiritual broadcast through which Archangel Michael's revelations reach souls across nations. This mission continues only through the obedience of those who stand as carriers of light. When you sow into this ministry through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are fueling heaven's river to reach more souls trapped in darkness. I speak this to you as one under divine instruction. Your giving today becomes a seed of restoration that multiplies favor and clarity in your own life. As you give, I declare, may rivers of abundance return to your hands. May the oil of joy replace your financial strain. May your obedience unlock a harvest beyond expectation. Do not delay, for this act of faith marks your agreement with the flow of heaven. So, and watch how quickly the current begins to move in your favor. Beloved child of divine purpose, As this revelation deepens, Archangel Michael now unveils the sacred law of prophetic timing, the rhythm by which heaven releases blessings and how human impatience can unknowingly interrupt it. He says every promise has a season, and every season carries a sound. Those who move before the sound miss the fullness of what was meant for them. This message is not about delay. It is about synchronization. Heaven's miracles do not operate by human calendars, but by divine cycles. To align with these cycles is to walk in perpetual ease, even amid warfare. Michael revealed that divine timing feels strange because it often hides in contradiction. When things seem slow, heaven is working fast behind the veil. When doors appear closed, the right one is being constructed. The Archangel says, "Do not mistake silence for absence. Silence is heaven's signal of rearrangement." This means that when you feel forgotten, heaven is actually finishing details you cannot yet see. The spiritual world moves like an orchestra tuning before the performance, each instrument aligning to divine frequency before the grand sound begins. Beloved, you may have been asking, why hasn't it happened yet? Why is my breakthrough still on the horizon? But Michael whispers, because heaven refuses to deliver a promise into the wrong atmosphere. The place where you stand emotionally, mentally, or spiritually must match the promise's vibration. If it arrives too early, it will slip through your hands. Heaven loves you too much to allow that. That is why certain opportunities seem to vanish. They were premature releases, not lost blessings. They are being refined and will return when you are positioned for sustainability. Michael showed me a vision of an enormous clock in the heavens, its hands made of light. Round it were angels moving with precision, adjusting events and people to converge at one divine moment. Every tick of that clock represented an act of obedience, a moment of prayer, a step of faith taken by the children of God. The Archangel said, "Tell them their time is aligning now." The delays have birthed maturity. Heaven's rhythm never fails. What belongs to you is orbiting closer every moment you remain in alignment. He warns that the greatest temptation in the waiting season is to compromise. The enemy will whisper, "Take the shortcut. Settle for what is available." But Michael declares, premature access is costly. If you seize what you are not ready for, the weight of the blessing becomes a burden. Do not settle for imitation when heaven intends authenticity. Waiting is not wasting. It is building strength for longevity. Every second of patience refines your capacity to hold what is coming. Beloved, while you wait, heaven works. Each act of obedience releases movement. When you pray, angels receive assignments. When you worship, frequencies shift. When you remain still in faith, the unseen clock accelerates. Your waiting is not an activity. It is invisible construction. Archangel Michael says that those who worship while waiting are those who will reign when receiving. Worship is how you stay synchronized when nothing seems to move. It keeps your spirit tuned to the rhythm of heaven's plan. You may feel weary, but even now, your moment draws near. Something is changing in the unseen as you hear these words. The gears of divine time are turning faster. The angels have begun repositioning opportunities that once slipped away. This time, you will be ready. You will not fumble the blessing. You will walk in mastery. What once required struggle will now flow with ease because you have learned patience, and patience is heaven's proof of trust. Prepare your heart, for the next revelation will unveil the angelic exchange, the mystery of how heaven replaces what was stolen and doubles it in the process. This truth will show you why every loss was never a loss but an investment in divine recompense. You are about to see restoration multiplied before your eyes. Type "I trust heaven's timing" in the comments if this message has confirmed your spirit. Blessing code 9933 is now active over your waiting season. Beloved carrier of heaven's assignment, we now enter one of the most powerful revelations ever released through Archangel Michael, the mystery of the angelic exchange. Michael says, nothing truly lost in obedience remains lost. Heaven always restores in greater measure than what was taken. The spiritual law of divine exchange governs every form of restoration. What the enemy steals becomes a seed in heaven's record, and God never forgets the sowing of pain. Every tear, every disappointment, every moment of surrender becomes currency that heaven multiplies. The archangel's words thunder in the spirit realm. For every subtraction, heaven prepares double addition. Michael showed me a vision of great ledgers suspended in light, heaven's books of remembrance. Inside them were the records of injustices, betrayals, financial losses, and broken promises suffered by God's chosen ones. Angels moved their hands across these pages, marking the entries with glowing seals of redemption. I saw every act of faith, every moment of endurance being weighed, and for each one, new scrolls of compensation were being issued. These scrolls contained instructions for the angelic exchange, the process by which what was stolen is not merely returned but multiplied. Beloved, understand this truth. The enemy cannot destroy what heaven owns. He can only delay its appearance. When something vanishes, money, opportunity, or relationship, heaven does not panic. The moment it is taken, Michael issues a command to the angels of recovery. He says, retrieve, restore, and return with interest. Sometimes the recovery happens quietly, other times it manifests suddenly and dramatically. But it always happens. That is why Michael wants you to stop mourning what was lost and start preparing for what is being multiplied. Heaven's exchange system functions on faith. When you release your bitterness, you activate restoration. The archangel says, forgiveness is the signature that authorizes repayment. As long as resentment fills the heart, the transaction cannot clear. But the moment you release those who hurt you, you unblock the flow. Divine exchange begins the instant your heart lets go of revenge. It is heaven's version of a financial reset, one signed not by your hands but by your willingness to trust divine justice. You may not realize it, but every season of loss has positioned you for this moment. The years where you struggled were not wasted. They were investment periods in heaven's economy. Every time you chose faith over fear, you deposited unseen currency. Michael says, now the accounts mature. That means your spiritual investments are reaching their moment of release. Expect sudden openings, unexpected reimbursements, debts cleared, new streams of income, and even emotional healing that releases new opportunities. Restoration is already circling your atmosphere. Beloved, do not be surprised if the very areas where you were most attacked become the areas of greatest overflow. That is how divine justice operates. Heaven does not simply repair, it reverses, multiplies, and elevates. The same people who doubted you will witness your restoration and know that the hand of God was upon you. This is not revenge. It is revelation. Your recovery becomes testimony, proof that heaven's systems never fail. Michael's closing words in this revelation are simple yet profound. Tell them, the exchange has begun. Those who hear this message in faith will feel the confirmation soon. A small yet unmistakable sign will appear, perhaps a forgotten debt forgiven, a sudden opportunity arising, or a phone call restoring a long-lost connection. These are the indicators that the divine exchange has activated. Heaven is settling accounts in your favor. Beloved, stay alert, for the next unveiling will expose the secret of sustained overflow, how to live in a continuous cycle where lack cannot return. This revelation will show you how heaven keeps provision flowing for those who remain faithful stewards. It is the difference between receiving a blessing once and living under an open heaven permanently. Type "I receive my divine exchange" in the comments if your spirit witnesses this message. Blessing code 1010 is now sealed over your restoration. Beloved heir of divine inheritance, Archangel Michael now draws back the final veil over one of heaven's most guarded mysteries, the law of sustained overflow. He says, "It is one thing to receive breakthrough, but another to remain in it." Many experience the rain of blessing, but only a few learn to live in the climate of abundance. The difference lies not in how much heaven gives, but in how deeply you stay aligned with the source. Overflow is not an event, it is a relationship. When your heart remains positioned in gratitude, humility, and purpose, heaven keeps the gates open indefinitely. Michael reveals that sustained overflow is governed by three invisible pillars: purity of intention, consistency of faith, and continuation of generosity. These are not rules, they are frequencies. When your intentions are pure, you attract resources aligned with your divine calling. When your faith remains unwavering, you maintain spiritual momentum. When you continue to give even after receiving, you keep heaven's current in constant circulation. These three together form what Michael calls the unbroken circle. In that circle, lack cannot survive. Beloved, many who once walked in abundance fell not because heaven closed the door, but because their hearts shifted away from gratitude. They began to measure blessing by possession instead of presence. The moment pride enters, flow fractures. The Archangel warns, never forget that what flows through you is greater than what rests upon you. This means your wealth, your ideas, your opportunities, all of it must continue to serve divine purpose. When what you hold serves others, heaven refills it faster than you can release it. When what you hold serves only yourself, the river begins to narrow. Michael showed me a vision of a vast golden reservoir in the heavens. Streams of light descended toward the earth, each one marked with names. Some streams flowed continuously, others pulsed in intervals, flickering like a heartbeat. He said, "Those that flow without interruption belong to those who learn to stay grateful even when nothing new appeared." Gratitude keeps the gate open. Every morning you awaken with thanksgiving. You remind heaven that you can be trusted with more. It is not abundance that keeps gratitude alive. It is gratitude that keeps abundance alive. Beloved, this principle applies to every area of your life. When you praise God for what you have, you signal readiness for what's next. When you complain, you declare yourself unready for multiplication. Words either widen or weaken the flow. That is why Archangel Michael instructs you to start each day with declaration, "I walk in divine overflow. I am sustained by heaven's rhythm. My resources multiply as I pour them out." These words align your vibration with heaven's circulation and command angels of provision to remain stationed around you. Heaven desires you not just to survive on blessings, but to become a distributor of them. Michael says, overflow was never designed for ownership, it was designed for outreach. This means your abundance is meant to transform others. The more you share revelation, extend compassion, and release support, the more heaven enlarges your capacity. Sustained overflow is heaven's reward for those who make themselves conduits of divine goodness. You are not a reservoir. You are a riverbed through which divine water never ceases to flow. Even now, a holy stirring is taking place around you. The atmosphere is shifting, preparing for the sealing of this entire message. As you hear these words, Michael's sword touches the ground beside you, marking your territory as one covered by the covenant of continuous supply. You will not cycle through lack again. What once came in waves will now remain as a steady current. The waiting seasons taught you stewardship, and that stewardship has qualified you for perpetual provision. Beloved, remain connected, for the next and final revelation will bring this entire message into completion. It will seal your covenant, release the prophetic decree for the coming days, and activate the final blessing code that heaven has stored for you since the beginning. The last revelation carries not only instruction but impartation. When you receive it, something within you will permanently shift toward divine stability. Type "I live in perpetual overflow" in the comments if your spirit feels this truth anchoring within you. Blessing code 1119 is now activated around your life. Beloved child of eternal light, this is the sealing moment. The heavens are open as Archangel Michael stands once more before the throne of the Most High, radiant with the fire of divine justice. He speaks your name, declaring, "The transfer is complete, the flow established, and the covenant sealed." You have journeyed through revelation after revelation, and now heaven's decree reaches its fulfillment. Michael says, "Tell them, what was delayed shall now move, what was hidden shall now appear, and what was lost shall now multiply." This is not symbolic, it is literal. The spiritual resistance that tried to intercept your blessing has been disarmed. Every opposing current has been reversed, and the river of divine supply now runs unbroken toward your destiny. The archangel showed me a vision of the celestial court. Angels were gathering scrolls, sealing them in golden wax, and delivering them into the hands of those who remain faithful through the storm. Each scroll contained personal instructions, strategies for increase, divine ideas for wealth creation, pathways of favor. These are not just spiritual concepts. They are downloads that manifest through inspiration and opportunity. You will soon notice flashes of insight, sudden clarity, or doors opening where there was once silence. This is heaven's way of placing your breakthrough into tangible form. Michael declares, "The righteous will now see visible proof of divine transfer." Expect signs, emails, messages, unexpected acknowledgments, financial openings that align perfectly with the prayers you whispered when no one was listening. The archangel reminds you that this movement is not random. Heaven's system is precise. Every act of obedience you performed, every moment you chose faith instead of fear, built the bridge for this manifestation. The bridge is now complete. You are crossing into the land of manifested provision. Beloved, Archangel Michael warns that now, in the aftermath of victory, you must remain spiritually awake. The enemy cannot steal your blessing anymore, but he will try to dull your awareness through distraction or comfort. Do not fall asleep in abundance. Keep your altar burning. Continue to speak, to give, to align, to listen. The divine flow you now walk in will sustain itself only through intentional connection with the source. Michael's words echo through the spirit. They must understand, overflow requires maintenance through gratitude. Thankfulness will keep your river clear. Pride will pollute it. Remain humble, remain pure, and the light will never dim. Now, lift your heart and hear the final decree. You are sealed under divine economy. What you touch will prosper. What you build will expand. What you speak will align with heaven's order. The same angels that fought for your release will now stand guard over your increase. You will notice favor multiplying quietly, and even those who once doubted you will recognize that something divine surrounds you. This is not temporary abundance. It is covenant abundance. The transfer is not ending. It is ongoing. Beloved, if this word has confirmed the stirring inside you, lift your voice now and declare, "It is done." A declaration finalizes the heavenly transaction. Speak it boldly. Feel the peace settle over you. That peace is proof that heaven's signature has been placed upon your life. The river is open, the angels are stationed, and your journey into sustained overflow begins today. Before this sacred revelation closes, I want to speak directly to your spirit. If this message has resonated deeply and you feel heaven's hand moving through it, now is your moment to respond. Like, share, and comment to spread this divine alert to others who need awakening. Subscribe and stay connected to this prophetic movement so that Archangel Michael's next instruction reaches you without delay. You are part of a global awakening, a network of light carriers igniting faith across nations. Your engagement amplifies the sound of heaven on earth. Type "I am sealed in divine abundance" in the comments to affirm your covenant. Blessing code 1200 is now permanently active over your life. And now, as the final act of obedience, hear this divine invitation. Beloved, heaven is inviting you to take your place not just as a receiver but as a sustainer of the light. When you support this mission through super thanks, membership, with a PayPal link in the description, you participate in a heavenly transaction far greater than any earthly exchange. You are helping the words of God travel through digital rivers into souls who have forgotten hope. Each seed you release becomes oil in the lamps of others still searching in the dark. I speak this with prophetic certainty. Your act of giving will echo back as increase in your own life. The angels record every seed of faith, and Archangel Michael himself commands blessing to return multiplied. As you sow, may rivers of divine transfer flow through your home, your work, and your lineage. May open heavens remain over you, and may every seed you release return as a harvest pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So now, and let heaven witness your alignment with its movement.